Hello guys, this is James. Today we're gonna use Flex to design the layout of this page. As we see, it can be easily divided into the three parts: the title and the navigation bar, and then the content. Of course, so we can break down the content to this the main content, and there's a sidebar. The sidebar can break down to the login and the sign up. I have already HTML and I'll just explain. Everything will be wrapped in this container in the body, and the head, we have the head here, and then the navigation bar.
Everything in the navigation bar has been wrapped in the left tag.
We just design everything, use the list, unworded list. All right, and also in the list, it's wrapped inline elements. That's the link. So each one we click, it will lead us to a link. All right, and then the main content. The main content first, we use a big wrapper flex to wrap everything, and the main content we just wrap it in the column main title. Okay, the rest of things in the column sidebar. Individually, we have tile and tile centered. That's the thing we have done when it comes to the CSS.
We always initiate with our default setting, set everything to border box, and the list box sizing can be inherited. In the body, we set our basic font family and the background color.
It has the green color here, so I just set it like this.
The last setting goes to the margin top. We set in each tier, aside from the first elements, all the rest of the elements will have 1.5 EM the margin top. And in the later, we might overwrite this value.
All right, that's just the basic of the page, and let's get started to write. And first, let's focus to the ink. I think the ink, we don't have so much things to write.
Next, we go to the navigation bar. How can we use flag to write the navigation bar? Technically,
this really can be considered a container, and the container have a background color. Each element or each item inside will be located with some margin.
one item should locate
rightmost to separate from the other one. So that's something we get. Okay. And here, that's right. Okay, for the navigation bar, I have to write something. So I just open to the side to make a comparison. Here, the navigation bar have a wrappers. Of course, we have to reinsert the wrappers, a flex. So inside, children of it will become the flex item. So all the LI will become flex item. Also, here's the background color. Of course, we have to set the background color here. All right. And then the second thing we talk about the LI, since we know that it should not have 1.5 margins top here because right everything should be really displayed in the flex. So we have to really override the initial value of margin top we have wrote. And also the list style means if there are any dots or something, because initially the browser has assigned already a list style, default list style already. So we just make the list style to none. Since the first one doesn't have any margins, it seems, and then from the second, third, and then to the last, there's a margin. So we set the left margin here, something. I just set it first, one EM, later maybe we can adjust. And so it can have something here. The navigation right, that's the last one, right? It should be pushed to the rightmost. And how we do it? In the flex, we just set it the margin left auto, then it will be pushed all the way to the rightmost. Well, why we have to set the display block or the A elements? Because here is something also very vital. Here we can see there definitely will be some padding or margin values here. But unfortunately, if we don't set it block, even we set the margin, then it will not affect the outer wrapper, I mean here. The height of the outer wrapper will be only affected by the line height of the inner elements. Therefore, we have to make it block so we can assign really the margin and height to make the margin and height of it can affect the height of the outer wrapper. All right, the ink, no problem. And we have pushed already the about here. All right, and definitely let's check. There are some left padding already. As we see that we set it 1 EM, so it's 16. And now let's just test if we set, and if we don't set the block, as we see, right? As even we see we set a very big paddings here, 32, but still it can really not make our wrapper, the brown line, bigger because the A is an inline element. Let's see what happened now. All right, it's really effect already. And the lexing is, it's too much. Okay, let's just set it the other way. And there's still some thing we have to modify. Why there's like underscore and the blue font, we have to eliminate, right? And then we have to set the background colors here. Also, we see that it really occupy some space, but it seems we didn't have enough paddings here or margins here to make it like too expanded to the both sides. That's something also we have to modify. Here we can add some layout here. Maybe we just add padding. It's optional. As we see that it has some border radius here. So we make the border. Since there are other list, so we make it more specified here to add that side. It's better, and also just to make it more specific. All right, here we give it background color. We make it. Now it has background color, and compared to this one, it seems a little bit bigger. So it means that the patterns we give it it's not right. We just change it a bit. Another thing important is we have to eliminate those blue color of the font and the underscore. We should use decoration. All right, it seems looks better. Let's analyze in the main. Actually, it's a big container of both. As we see, also we should make it as a flex, the red flex item and the right flex item. First, I make the main red list wrapper flex display. And also we should make the background should be white. And let's just check here, the tire and tire is like a sub wrappers here. So with these wrappers, we just make background color white. Let's see what's in the page. As we see, there's still a 24 pixels of margins. Why? That's also because our default value 1.5 margin top. We have to override it here. The margin top is 0, but still why there's something like a gap there? Let's check. Okay, now we just find the reason, font, because the font is H3.
In the previous margin collapsing video, we have seen that with the preset margin of the H3, it will collapse with other margin until the top of the margin box. To solve the margin collapsing,
of course, we just add the padding somewhere. Now it's aligned. Also, there's some gutters here. We have to make the column sidebar, give it a, yeah, okay, all right, something like that. Next, we adjust, yeah, the container because it's too wide. We just make it a little bit narrower. So maybe here in under the body, we can add something like. It will not tend to do anything responsive. So we just set the elements inside in the middle of the screen. All right, it might look better.
now let's go to our next task is to align the contents vertically with the border of the navigation bar.
We define something. What does flex 2 and 1 mean?
Setting flex is to set the three properties of flex: flex grow, flex shrink, and flex basis. Now let's just make an equivalence. Flex 1 means flex grow equals to 1, shrink 0, basis 0. Flex 2 means the flex row 2, flex shrink 0, flex basis 0. Both of the shrink basis set to 0, it means the whole width. Well, flexbox will depend on just the flex grow or flex shrink. Since the flex shrink also equals to 0, we don't take account of it, and then everything depends on the flex grow. We set one value 1, the other one 2. It means setting value by 2, the size of it, the width of it will be exactly twice as the one setting with 1.
So let's just check. Here it seems everything aligns well until we add something. We just copy it one time. Let's see what's showed in page.
It looks neat though, but today our purpose is also let the right side to expand with the left contents. But the question is why it doesn't expand.
We know that in the flexbox, always, right, if the default value will be the right and the left, they should really have the same expanding. But why it doesn't really expand? Because what we have said, the flex item is on the sidebar. It's not on the elements inside the sidebar. So here, actually, it has expanded already. It's just that it doesn't show up the background color because we didn't set background color here. What if we also want the inside, the starting at also expand if the left item like this team collaboration expand? The solution is we also have to set another flex box. In the column sidebar, we also set display, but the flex orientation should be column. And if we just want this part to expand until the bottom, what we have to set is to make the expanding value 1, because by default, this expanding is 0. If this set 1, it will just occupy the rest of flexbox. Expand. All right, that's really something we want. The next thing, we have to really set the patterns, the layout of this box. Size, we change. Yeah. Just remember, if we change font size and later, if in the padding and other things we still use EM, then it should based on this font size. That's what we discussed in another video. And the font weight, because since it seems it's bold, so we just give, and it should align to the right. All right, it's something here already. And then we have to change the input box. And we change display. So this will be in another line rather than in the same line with username password. That's exactly what we want. We make the line to fulfill the we make the y's a little bit longer. So y all right. And we'll give it a margin top 0. We don't need any preset margin top here. Be closer to it. And then we have to design the button. This button is the inline block element. Override the margin top 2. And then we will give the border, right, of this. All right, and inside the background color should not be gray, should be right. And since it's an inline block, give it a padding. It will be bigger. All right. Yeah, we gave it a cursor pointer because it changed already. That's something we really can figure in this game box. Then we have to set up something here. It can be a little bit complicated because we have starting at the top in the top, and then we can see that the $20 have one font, 20 have another font, and 0.00 have the other. And also we should have a big button here to sign up. So everything represented, that's the first step. Of course, we go to the cost. The cost really have, right, we use 3 span to define the different dollar, 20, and 2. And each of them should have a different font. And today, to align them well, also I would like to use a flexbox. So in the cost, everything aligns in the center. So flex, if we want to make everything align in the center, we can justify box. Why that looks like this? Because we have to override the margin top when we initiate the settings, but we should overwrite it in the cost. All right, now it aligns well. It seems it's
Just a simple line of $20.
actually it's already a flex box, and in each flex box we can adjust the font size. For instance, in the cost. All right, and then it's a smaller one. See, that's something like this. We have to see why the 20 is like this. Maybe it's because of its own paddings. Let's first check it out. All right, it looks like this because the font itself, it doesn't have to do with any padding, body, border, or margin, because we have set everything to 0, right? But it doesn't really looks like this one. For instance, the dollar should be centered in the middle. It should not be there. So that comes to our line. It's another setup in the flex to really set everything vertically in the middle. Look, everything is centered in the middle, right, in the flex box. All right, but still there's something, because the 0.00 should be on top. And how to set it? In the individual flex item, we just set to flex. It looks good, but the thing is that just because of the font, as I said, it really doesn't align like this one. We should make it a little bit lower.
Or be more specific, the 0.00 a little bit lower. Since the position of 20 now have nothing to do with the border, padding, or margin, because everything, as we say, is set to 0. Also, we set $20.00 as in the span. Span is an inline element. So the position of those totally depends on the font itself. And as we choose this font, the 20 really have something on the top. So we should change the line height of the flex box to make everything align a little bit. That's really the idea. In this tiny flex container, we set 9.7, something like that.
All right, it looks better.
So lowering the behavior of the in elements in the flexbox is very vital to our design. That's something we encounter again.
Flexing will be simple, just a button. Background color, something like reddish. Yeah, we should set it a little bit. Okay. All right.
I think now we just have the final result already. Now let's make a little summary. Making a web page is never so easy. We have to really consider all the aspects. And today we are trying to use majorly the flex to design everything. So we really should consider everything as flexbox, even like the 20. The 20 is a tiny thing, but if we want to really align everything well by making the best of those properties in the flex, like align items, justified content, etc., then we really should consider the flexbox. Second, now let's look at the whole of the page. Obviously, right, by thinking the layout, we should think the navigator bar and also the content should obviously be using flex. Second, we have to understand the flex 1 and flex 2. What does it mean? Actually, it's not just one property. It is just have three properties setting here: the flex row, the flex shrink, and flex basis. We have to know how to use it. Third, of some details of flex, how we can really push one flex item to the rightmost and how we can push one flex item to the bottom. That's something we have realized. Also, we have to know the behavior of the inline elements. Is that if it is wrapped in elements, then the padding and the margin of the inline elements will not affect the height of the outer wrapper. That's what we have seen. We have to set it as a block element instead. Another thing is that really the line height of outer wrapper can reversely affect the inner elements inside. So the 20.00, we set the line height a little bit smaller so it can really align well. There are other things we can really learn from this webpage. But until now, I will say thanks for watching and I will see you in the next. Thank you.